What's good, guys? This is Vahagraphy. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer. How's everybody doing today? Thank you for joining me in this video. We're gonna do something different today. I get this question asked all the time. Vahagan, what do you do on your talking head videos, your setup? What are your preferences, cameras used, lighting setup? Well, in this video, I'm gonna show you an example of one setup I use for some of my videos on this channel, Vahagraphy. But first, before we get into it, if this is your first time here on Vahagraphy, consider subscribing, like this video. We talk about all things photography on this channel: photo, lens, camera reviews, tutorials, the business of photography, some videography. And today we're gonna discuss talking head video setup, the setup I'm using today as an example for you guys, so you could see kind of like the behind the scenes, my lighting setup, my cameras setup. So I want to really go into detail and show you what I do in this video, an example of what I'm doing here right now. Okay, so I got 3 cameras set up right now. I like to call these 3 cameras, camera A is the main talking head camera, the one that I generally look at straight ahead. That's camera A. Camera B is off to the side, and that's I like to set up more of like a telephoto lens on there to capture a different angle. This is a good angle. Usually it all depends on how much space you have. I have a 7200 lens on camera B. Camera A, I have a 50mm lens. And you can get creative with camera B. You can set it off to the side. You can use a telephoto long lens. It just all depends. So that's camera B with a 7200 lens, camera A with the 50mm lens, and I have camera C, some creative kind of super wide angle shot. That's camera C right there with the 14-30 Z lens on it, on a slider, an automatic slider. I'll show you everything in a minute, but I'm set at 14mm on that lens on camera C. It's just doing its thing, going back and forth. It's a really cool effect for this kind of shot. This video, the whole goal of this video is to show you guys what I use in some of my videos for you guys to get ideas in your videos. And hopefully this helps give you some ideas. Now, everybody's different. Everybody likes to do things a little different. This is one way I set up the shot for this channel. So 3 cameras, camera A, camera B, camera C right there. Okay, lighting wise, I got 2 GVM lights powering this scene. One right here above me, which I'll show you, and one behind me as a kind of like a backlight, or they call it a hair light. I don't have hair, but you know what I'm trying to say. The light back there, and I have 2 colored lights for adding effect to the scene. Like I said, everybody does things a little different, but this is just one example that I want to show you guys what you can do for, as far as your YouTube videos go, as far as interviews and all that. All cameras are set on tripods, and yeah. So what I do is I edit. Let's say I'm doing a video, I'm done with it. I download all the images to the computer, and I put it together. I sync it through audio in Final Cut. I record my main audio on this mic right here. This is a Zoom H2N. You could pick this mic up at probably like $100. You can use all types of devices for audio. I like to record my audio internally on this device, and I sync it up later. Make sure that your audio is recording, your camera audio is recording as well, so you could sync up all 3 cameras and the main audio for the video. So make sure that those audio, the settings in the camera, the mic is on for the audio to be picked up, because it makes for an easy syncing process in Final Cut. Now, as far as audio goes, you can use overhead boom mics, you can use lapel mics, you can use all types of devices. I happen to love this thing. I think this recorder here, the Zoom H2N, does a really good job in capturing my audio. I don't have to edit it. I don't have to EQ it later on, and it just sounds good right out of the box. So I love the Zoom H2N. Camera A, I'm using a Nikon Z9 with a 50mm 1.2S lens, a sweet lens. Camera A. Camera B, today I'm using a Nikon Z50 with the 7200Z lens. And camera C, the one on the gimbal, on the slider, is a Z6 with a 14-30 lens. Okay, guys? So light-wise, I like to set, in this particular scene, I have all three cameras. All three cameras are Nikons, like I said. All three cameras are set to identical Kelvin white balance. I have it set to 5,000 on all three cameras. They do a really good job matching the color. All three cameras, like I said, are Nikons, and they do a really good job with the color match, so I don't really need to grade. Maybe I can adjust the exposure later on in Final Cut when I'm putting together this video for you guys. As far as the lights go, I have bicolor GVM lighting, the GVM 200Ds, and I have the temperature set at around 5500. It's around daylight in both lamps here. I got softboxes on each, and I got these two lights for the color effects. So yeah, let me just go ahead and show you what I do, how I use things in detail right now. Let's go. All right, guys, so in this segment, I want to just go ahead and go into detail my setup that you just saw earlier. This is one way of doing things. I'm not saying this is the right or wrong way. This is the way I do things. So I got my iPhone here, and I'm just gonna go behind the gear and just show you in detail what I like to use in this particular example. Now, I want to start doing 4K 60, which right now I cannot do because the Z9 you can record 4K 60, but the Z6 you cannot, and the Z50 as well. So, you know, eventually I'll probably get a pair of Z6 IIs. But we'll see what Nikon has in store for us next year. So I'm gonna wait on that. Okay, so on the camera A, like I said, Nikon Z9 with the 51.2 lens. And since this is a very fast lens at 1.2, I like to set it up, you know, all cameras are recording 4K 30. And I like to set this thing up, you know, this camera was set at 1.8, 60 frames a second, the shutter speed, ISO 100. I like to double up my, the shutter speed to what I'm recording at. For example, this is 4K 30, so I double the frames per second to 1/60th of a shutter. So this is camera A, Z9, on a tripod here, doing the main shot. Camera, let's turn around here and go to camera B. I'll turn on some lights here. Okay, so this is camera B with the Z50. Phenomenal camera, a little camera. Have it again on a tripod. And you can get creative with camera B. I mean, if you have more space in your room, you can put it off to the side, you can put it higher, lower, depends. So this was camera B, again, 4K 30, doubling up the shutter speed at 1/60th of a second. I was wide open at 2.8 at ISO 320. Reason why the ISO is a little higher in this camera is to compensate for shooting the camera A at 1.8. Here we can only shoot at 2.8 because this is a 7200S lens. Beautiful lens, by the way. And so we got to compensate for the exposure. So I raised the ISO up to 320 on this one, 2.8, 60th shutter speed, 4K 30. I like to set the picture profile to NL on all cameras. And the ISO, like I said, is identical at 5,000 kelvins. So here, let me show you. 5,000, you see that? All right, so this is camera B. let's swing over to camera C, which is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite set cameras to work with, angles, because you can really get creative in your shot. So this was C, this was on a gimbal. As you can see here, I'm using a Nikon Z6 one with a 14-30 f4s lens. Beautiful lens, by the way. Okay, in this camera, we have the same settings as earlier in the other cameras. NL picture profile, 4K 30. My f5 here, ISO 800. Now, because I'm shooting it at f5 versus 2.8 or 1.8, I'm at f5 to compensate for the exposure. And again, white balance is the same. And make sure you have, oops, let me set that up. Okay. Make sure you have the audio on recording at all times so you can sync the audio. So this camera C is cool. Like I said, I got the Gitzo tripod. You need a really good steady tripod, good quality tripod to put this awesome GVM slider on, because it slides and the weight shifts from left to right. So just make sure that you have a good base at the bottom here. This is a GVM carbon fiber slider, battery operated, and you control it with an iPhone. This is one of my favorite tools for filmmaking, for content creation. I love this slider. I mean, this thing is awesome. So this is camera C. All right, so let's go and let's talk about lighting now. So my main light, which is here, I got the GVM 200. What is this? This is the SD200D light. It's a constant light, and it's, you know, I got a small rig softbox on it with a grid. Now I like to set this thing up. I like to set it up high so we can have a nice little effect, especially, hold on, let me turn this light off. Especially because you have the grid on. You have a grid on the main light. See, this is the small rig. RAD55 softbox. I got a grid on here, so I like to set it up really high so it gives it a nice little high light effect on top. You know, you can set it off to the side, you can set it lower, but in this particular shot, it was set up really high. Now, anytime you're putting a light like this on, constant light, really high, make sure you're using really nice, sturdy stands, okay? Nothing flimsy. So this is my main light, GVM. Let's go to my backlight, my hair light, you want to call it. This particular setup, I'm using another Godox Octabox, it's called. Octabox is set up here. And this one I'm using the GVM, this light is the SD200R. This is actually an RGB cob light, which is a really cool light, but I have it set up in bicolor right now. And I'm using the Octabox light, again, up high for my backlight, okay? And the color panels, I'm using two identical color panels here. These lights change in color. These are the Shutfoto TP25 RGB lights. They're tube lights. You could charge them, you could use power. Right now I have it hooked up to the wall. Basically, it's really cool because you could just change color. And these lights have effects and they can get really strong. See that? Look at that. They can get really strong depending on what you're shooting, what type of effect you're after. And you can get really creative with something like this. So it all depends on what you're after, the look you're after. So, all right, guys. So hopefully this helps out, and you know, go out there and be creative. Create your own videos. If you're doing these type of shoots, if you have a YouTube channel, If you're setting up for a client, you know, you get an idea of how I use these lights and the camera, 3 cameras set up here. So hopefully this helps, and we'll catch you on the next video, guys. Go out there, be good to each other, and have fun and rock and roll. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Hey, what's good, guys? Vahagan here from Vahagraphy. If you like more photography, rockin' content like this one, go ahead and check out the videos on the screen and subscribe to this channel for more exclusive content.